And next is types of study. So first one is the cohort study. So what is a cohort study? So cohort is an observational study, and this study allows identification and evaluation of potential risk factors for development of condition of interest. And in the hierarchy of evidence, cohort study lies beneath the randomized controlled trials because they are more vulnerable to bias, and they're more likely to be influenced by confounders. And the cohort is a group of people who share a certain characteristic. Three comparison or control groups are possible. One is general population, one is the subgroup within the study cohort or a group who has not been exposed to the postulated risk factors for the condition under investigation. Cohort studies can be done retrospective or prospective. And the key difference with other study design is that the exposure status is always assessed before the outcome status. If randomized trials are superior, then what purpose do cohort studies serve? So cohort studies are extremely useful to prove a causative link between a risk factor and the disease. And the cohort is identified before the development of the disease in question and then follow up over time. The cohort studies provide strong circumstantial evidence of causality, though definitive confirmation may require focused experimental trials. And prospective cohort studies have the advantage of reducing recall error, which retrospective cohort can have. What are the advantages of the cohort studies? So they demonstrate temporal relationship between the exposure and the disease, and they're easy to ascribe to the outcome to the exposure. The direct estimation of incidence rates in both exposed and unexposed groups, multiple outcomes, latent period or incubation period, and they also be helpful to exposure that are relatively uncommon. So what are the disadvantages? So the disadvantage, it's a large sample size, and this is particularly meaningful for rare conditions. Long follow-up periods are necessary, re-evaluation of exposure are required, and outcome must be determined as they develop. Some of these disadvantages can be affected in cohort design, but this is then vulnerable to recall and other bias. And a portion of cohorts may lost follow-up, and outcome may be misdiagnosed or misallocated, and outcome assessment is vulnerable to diagnostic suspicion bias. So this is all about cohort studies. And next is what is CONSORT and PRISMA. So CONSORT is a mnemonic or combination of word which stands for Consolidated Standards of Reporting Trials. It's a set of recommendations for papers reporting the results of randomized controlled trials. And if you go on their website, that's consort underscore statement.org, there are 25 points which needs to be checked before writing randomized controlled trial. And it's provided a framework to evaluate the quality of randomized controlled trials, clinical trials. So what guidance does the statement provide? So again, it's 25 item checklist and a template participant flow diagram. What is the PRISMA statement? So this is again, this is something for the meta-analysis and systematic reviews. So again, PRISMA is a mnemonic that stands for preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Again, it's also present on their website. Next is academic impact. What ways do you know to evaluate the impact of academic work? It could be direct or it could be indirect. So direct measures include the number of citations, impact factor of the journals published in, H-index, and patents obtained. Now, indirect measures are they include invitations for expert advice, participation in expert bodies, and citation in support of major specialty guidelines. So what is an impact factor? Again, a very high yield definition. It can be asked in the Viva. So impact factor is used as a measure of particular journal's relative importance in its field. So in general, higher the impact factor, the more significant the journal is. So actually there is a definition for impact factor, how it's calculated. So impact factor is calculated by taking the number of citations obtained by the particular journal in a given year for articles published during these 2 years. So it's quite difficult. Example, they say citable items published in the Journal of Hallux Surgery in 2011 were cited 100 times in 2012. So they were citable items during 2000, and therefore the impact factor is 2. I don't know how they calculate that 100 citations and 2, but we will see. How valid is impact factor as index of importance? Again, there are 4 points. So it's discipline dependent. Some disciplines tend to cite faster than others, thus it is unreliable when comparing journals across the disciplines. Number 2, it is calculated using an arithmetic mean, which is statistically inappropriate as citations are not normally distributed, instead tending to be left skewed. And the third point is general rankings based on impact factor only moderately correlate with journal ranking based on expert survey. Impact factor can be influenced by deliberate editorial policies like publishing the most papers early in the year to maximize the accurate citation to increase their impact factor. Are you aware of any other bibliometrics similar to impact factor? Immediacy index is the number of citations in a given year divided by the number of articles published. So immediacy index, another thing which is similar to the impact factor. So what is HH index? A simple metric which provides a guide to an individual researcher's impact on their field. So it's for individual authors or researchers. Okay, so next is levels of evidence. Again, a very high yield Viva question. They will must ask about the hierarchy of the evidence. So there are different systems, but in UK they mostly use the Oxford system for the studies of interventions. So again, it has 5 levels. Oh God! So 1A, 1B, 1C, 2A, 2B, 2C, 3A, 3B, 4 and 5. So again, what will be on the top? 1A, systematic reviews of randomized controlled trial. This is 1A, systematic reviews of randomized controlled trial. Number 2, high quality randomized, this is 1B, high quality individual randomized controlled trials with narrow confidence intervals. And then 1C, all or none randomized controlled trials. So in other words, 1A, systematic reviews of randomized controlled trials, 1B, high quality narrow confidence intervals RCTs, and 1C, all or none RCTs. Okay, so 2, systematic reviews of cohort studies, this is 2A, and 2B, individual cohort study are low quality RCTs, and 2C, outcomes research and ecology studies. Okay, so 1A, RCTs, meta-analysis, good RCT and all or none. 2, systematic reviews cohort study, 2A, or any single good cohort study, 2B. And 3 is the systematic reviews of case control studies and individual case control study, 3B. And 4 is the case series, poor quality cohort or quality, and 5 is the expert opinion. So let's quickly summarize. 1A, systematic review of RCTs, 1B, good quality RCT, 1C, all or none RCT, 2A, systematic review of cohort studies, 2B, low quality RCT or good quality individual cohort study, and 2C, outcomes and research ecology studies, and 3A, systematic reviews of case control studies, 3B, individual case study, and 4 is the expert opinion case reports. No, 4 is the case series, poor quality cohort, poor quality case control studies, and 5 is the expert opinion. Do you know of any alternatives? There are other classifications for this literature grades or evidence. And can you explain the SIGN system? So it's again Scottish Intercollegiate Guideline Network. So let's finish here before we start meta-analysis and other things. Thank you.